Steinberg Cubase 12 Pro. We are starting the lesson. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so as not to miss new videos. And we begin. Editing in the markers window. In the markers window, you can select, edit, add, move, and remove markers. To select or edit a marker, click on it. Select multiple markers by Shift or Ctrl/CMD clicking them. To add a position marker at the cursor position, click Add Position Marker. A position marker is added at the current project cursor position on the active marker track. To add a cycle marker at the cursor position, click Add Cycle Marker. This adds a cycle marker between the left and right locators on the active marker track. To move position markers or the start of cycle markers to the cursor position, select the markers. From the Functions pop-up menu, select Move Markers to Cursor. For cycle markers, this operation moves the end of the marker accordingly. Note: alternatively, you can enter the new position numerically in the position column. To remove markers, select them, and click Remove Marker. Related links. Markers window. Markers window. Navigating in the marker list. Navigating in the marker list. You can navigate in the marker list using your computer keyboard, and you can select entries by pressing Return. This is a quick and easy way to jump to markers during playback or recording. To move to the previous /next marker in the list, press the up arrow/down arrow keys. To jump to the first/last marker, press the home/end keys. To move up/down a page in the list, press the page up/page down keys. Editing in the markers window. Sorting and reordering the marker list. Sorting and reordering the marker list. You can customize the display of the marker attributes in the marker list by sorting or reordering the columns. To sort the marker list by a specific attribute, click on the corresponding column header. To reorder the marker attributes, drag and drop the corresponding column headers. To adjust the width of a column, place the mouse pointer between two column headers and drag left or right. Note: regardless of what attributes you sort by, the second sort criterion will always be the position attribute. Navigating in the marker list. Marker attributes. Marker attributes. Marker attributes are shown in the marker list of the markers window. To open the markers window, select Project Markers. The following attribute columns are available. Locate. An arrow indicates which marker is at the project cursor position, or closest to the project cursor. If you click in this column, the project cursor is moved to the corresponding marker position. This column cannot be hidden. ID. Shows the marker ID numbers. Type. Indicates whether a marker is a position marker or a cycle marker. Position. Allows you to view and edit the time positions for position markers and the start positions for cycle markers. This column cannot be hidden. End. Allows you to view and edit the end positions of cycle markers. Length. Allows you to view and edit the length of cycle markers. Description. Allows you to view and edit marker descriptions. Related links. Marker IDs. Cycle markers. Sorting and reordering the marker list. Editing attributes. Editing attributes. You can edit marker attributes in the markers window or on the info line. To edit marker attributes in the markers window, proceed as follows. To edit a marker attribute, select the corresponding marker, click in the desired attribute column, and make your changes. To change the attributes of several markers, select the markers, and activate the checkbox for the attribute. All selected markers change their attributes accordingly. Note that this does not work when clicking on a timecode value or a text field. Note: to navigate in the list of marker attributes, you can also use the Tab key in the up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, and right arrow keys. To edit a marker attribute on the info line, select the marker in the project window, and click the corresponding attribute field on the info line. Note: to choose which marker attributes are displayed on the info line, click Set Up Info Line to the right of the info line. Related links. Info line. Marker attributes. Marker IDs. Marker IDs. Each position or cycle marker on a marker track has its own marker ID. When you add a position marker, it is automatically and sequentially assigned an ID number, starting from 1. IDs for cycle markers are shown in brackets and start from 1. Note: if you move a marker from one marker track to another by drag and drop in the project window and the marker ID is already used on this track, the inserted marker automatically receives a new ID. You can change ID numbers at any time, which allows you to assign specific markers to key commands. You can also automatically reassign the IDs for all position or cycle markers to match the order of markers on a track. To do so, select the corresponding function from the Functions pop-up menu. Related links. Reassigning marker IDs. Editing attributes. Reassigning marker IDs. Reassigning marker IDs. Sometimes, especially when setting markers on the fly, you may forget or miss to set a marker. When added later, the ID of this marker does not correspond to its position on the marker track. Therefore, it is possible to reassign the IDs for all markers on a track. Procedure. Open the markers window. Select the marker track whose ID numbers you want to reassign. From the Functions pop-up menu, select either Reassign Position Marker IDs or Reassign Cycle Marker IDs. Result. The marker IDs of the selected type are reassigned to match the order of markers on the marker track. Marker IDs. Marker track. Marker track. A marker track is used for adding and editing markers. Add position marker. Adds a position marker at the cursor position. Add cycle marker. Adds a cycle marker at the cursor position. Locate pop-up menu. If you select a position or a cycle marker in this pop-up menu, the corresponding marker in the event display or in the markers window is selected. Activate this track. Activates the marker track. Cycle pop-up menu. If you select a cycle marker in this pop-up menu, the left and right locators are set to the corresponding cycle marker. Zoom pop-up menu. If you select a cycle marker in this pop-up menu, the view zooms to the corresponding cycle marker. Toggle time base. Sets the track time base. Lock. Locks the marker track. When a marker track is locked, you cannot edit the track and its markers. Marker event, inactive. Shows an inactive marker event. Marker event, active. Shows an active marker event. Cycle marker event, inactive. Shows an inactive cycle marker event. Cycle marker event, active. Shows an active cycle marker event. Reassigning marker IDs. Adding, moving, and removing the marker track. Adding, moving, and removing the marker track. You can add, move, and remove the marker track. To add a marker track to the project, select Project Add Track Marker. To move a marker track to another position in the track list, click and drag it up or down. To remove one or more marker tracks, right-click them in the track list and select Remove Selected Tracks. To remove an empty marker track, select Project Remove Empty Tracks. This also removes any other tracks that are empty. Note: when you remove all marker tracks, the marker track that you removed last, including all its markers, is moved to the clipboard. If you insert a new marker track at a later time, this track is pasted into the track list from the clipboard. Marker track. Multiple marker tracks. Multiple marker tracks. You can create up to 10 marker tracks. Naming marker tracks. By default, the first marker track you create is called Markers, the second one, Marker 01, and so on. You can name marker tracks by double-clicking on the marker track name in the track list or in the inspector and entering a new name. The active marker track. When you are working with multiple marker tracks, only one track is active. All editing functions affect the markers on the active track only. You activate a track by clicking Activate this track in the track list. The following rules apply. When you add a new marker track, this track is automatically active. When you remove an active track, the topmost marker track in the track list is activated. When using cycle markers for zooming, only the cycle markers of the active track are displayed on the Zoom pop-up menu. When exporting an audio mixdown of the audio between the cycle markers, only the cycle markers of the active track are displayed in the Export Audio Mixdown dialog. Most marker key commands affect the active track. Locking marker tracks. You can lock one or more marker tracks by clicking the corresponding lock button of the track. When a marker track is locked, you cannot edit the track and its markers. However, you can still rename the track or change its status, active/inactive. In the Markers window and in the project browser, the unavailable features of a locked track are grayed out. Related links. Editing cycle markers. Importing and exporting markers. Adding, moving, and removing the marker track. Editing markers on the marker track. Editing markers on the marker track. You can edit markers on the marker track. To add a position marker, click Add Position Marker or use the Draw tool. To add a cycle marker, click Add Cycle Marker or use the Draw tool. To select a marker, use the standard techniques. To resize a cycle marker, select it and drag the handles. You can also do this numerically on the info line. To move a marker, select it and drag it. You can also edit marker positions on the info line. If you move markers from one track to another, the marker is assigned the numbering of the first free marker ID on the track where it is dropped. To remove a marker, select it, and press Delete or use the Erase tool. Related links. Marker track. Multiple marker tracks. Using markers to select ranges. Using markers to select ranges. Markers can be used in conjunction with the Range Selection tool to make range selections in the project window. This is useful if you quickly want to make a selection that spans all tracks in the project. Procedure. Set markers at the start and at the end of the section that you want to move or copy. Select the Range Selection tool, and double-click on the marker track between the markers. Everything in the project within the marker boundaries is selected. Any function or processing you perform now affects the selection only. Click on the marker track in the selected range, and drag the range to a new position. If you hold down Alt/Opt while you drag the range, the selection in the project window is copied instead. Editing markers on the marker track. Importing and exporting markers. Importing and exporting markers. Markers and marker tracks can be imported and exported. The following files can contain markers. MIDI files. Track archives. Related links. Importing markers via MIDI. Exporting markers via MIDI. Importing markers as part of a track archive. Exporting markers as part of a track archive. Using markers to select ranges. Importing markers via MIDI. Importing markers via MIDI. You can import position markers by importing MIDI files that contain markers. This is useful if you want to use your marker tracks in other projects or if you want to share them with other Cubase users. Any markers you have added are included in the MIDI file as standard MIDI file marker events. Activate import markers in the Preferences dialog, MIDI file page. The following settings are imported. The start position of position markers and cycle markers. The track assignment of markers. All marker tracks. Note: if you import a standard MIDI file created in other applications, all markers are merged on one marker track. Related links. Importing MIDI files. Importing and exporting markers. Exporting markers via MIDI. Exporting markers via MIDI. You can export your markers as part of a MIDI file. To include any markers in the MIDI file, activate Export Markers in the Export Options dialog. The following settings are exported. The start position of position markers and cycle markers. The track assignment of markers. All marker tracks. Note: to export markers via MIDI export, your project must contain at least one marker track. Related links. Exporting MIDI tracks as standard MIDI files. Importing markers via MIDI. Importing markers as part of a track archive. Importing markers as part of a track archive. You can import position markers and cycle markers by importing track archives that contain marker tracks. Select the tracks that you want to import in the Import Options dialog. The following settings are imported. The start and end positions of cycle markers. The track assignment of markers. The marker IDs. All marker tracks. Related links. Importing tracks from track archives. Exporting markers via MIDI. Exporting markers as part of a track archive. Exporting markers as part of a track archive. If you want to use your marker tracks in other projects, for example, share them with other users, you can export them as part of a track archive. To do so, select the marker tracks that you want to export. Then select File to export selected tracks. The following settings are exported. The start and end positions of cycle markers. The track assignment of markers. The marker IDs. All marker tracks. Related links. Track export. Importing markers as part of a track archive. MixConsole. MixConsole. The MixConsole provides a common environment for producing mixes in stereo or surround. It allows you to control level, pan, solo/mute status, etc. for audio and MIDI channels. Furthermore, you can set up the input and output routing for multiple tracks or channels at the same time. You can undo/redo MixConsole parameter changes for an open project at any time. You can open multiple MixConsole windows. You can configure the individual MixConsole windows so that each one shows different channel types, for example. You can link multiple MixConsole windows so that you can display all channels that are visible in the fader section in different windows on different monitors, for example, while the scroll bars and other elements are linked. You can open the MixConsole in a separate window or in the lower zone of the project window. While the MixConsole in the lower zone of the project window features the key functions for mixing, the separate MixConsole window gives you access to additional functions and settings. Related links. MixConsole in lower zone. MixConsole window. Filtering channel types. Link MixConsoles. Exporting markers as part of a track archive. MixConsole in lower zone. MixConsole in lower zone. You can show a MixConsole in the lower zone of the project window. This is useful if you want to access the most important MixConsole functions from within a fixed zone of the project window. The MixConsole in the lower zone of the project window is a separate MixConsole that does not follow any visibility changes you perform in the MixConsole window. To open a MixConsole in the lower zone of the project window, do one of the following. Press Alt/Opt F3. Select Studio a MixConsole in project window. The MixConsole in the lower zone of the project window is divided into the following sections. Page Selector. Allows you to select what page is displayed in the fader section, the channel faders, the insert effects for a channel, or the send effects. The top button allows you to hide the toolbar. Toolbar. The toolbar shows tools and shortcuts for settings and functions in the MixConsole. Fader section. The fader section is always visible and shows all channels in the same order as in the track list. Related links. Fader section. Inserts. Sends. Filtering channel types. Undoing/redoing MixConsole parameter changes. Linking channels. Functions menu. MixConsole. Showing/hiding MixConsole channels in the lower zone. Showing/hiding MixConsole channels in the lower zone. To determine what channels are visible in the MixConsole in the lower zone of the project window, use the Visibility tab in the left zone of the project window. Procedure. Click Show Hide Left Zone on the project window toolbar to activate the left zone. At the top of the left zone, click the Visibility tab. At the bottom of the left zone, click the Track tab. Click to the left of a track name to activate/deactivate the visibility of a channel. Result. The track in the track list and the corresponding MixConsole channel are shown/hidden in the lower zone of the project window. Related links. Opening the Visibility tab. Showing/hiding individual tracks. Visibility. MixConsole in lower zone. Determining the MixConsole channel order in the lower zone. Determining the MixConsole channel order in the lower zone. You can determine and lock the position of MixConsole channels in the lower zone of the project window. Procedure. At the top of the left zone, click the Visibility tab. At the bottom of the left zone, click the Zones tab. Do one of the following. To lock a channel on the left of the fader section, click the left dot next to the channel name. To lock a channel on the right of the fader section, click the right dot next to the channel name. Result. The channel is locked. Locked channels are always displayed. Related links. Opening the zones. Showing/hiding MixConsole channels in the lower zone. MixConsole window. MixConsole window. You can open the MixConsole in a separate window. To open the MixConsole, do one of the following. Press F3. Select Studio and MixConsole. On the project window toolbar, click Open MixConsole. Note. This is only visible on the toolbar if the Media and MixConsole Windows section is activated. The MixConsole is divided into the following sections. Toolbar. The toolbar shows tools and shortcuts for settings and functions in the MixConsole. Left zone. The left zone features the following tabs. The Visibility tab with the following tabs. The Channel tab allows you to show/hide individual channels from the MixConsole. The Zones tab allows you to determine and lock the position of certain MixConsole channels. The History tab lists all MixConsole parameter changes and allows you to undo/redo specific changes. The Snapshots tab lists all snapshots of MixConsole settings and allows you to recall them later. Fader section. The fader section is always visible and shows all channels in the same order as in the track list. Apart from the main sections, you can also access the following sections from within the MixConsole window. Channel Overview. Displays all channels as boxes. If you have more channels than can be displayed in the window, you can use the Channel Overview to navigate to other channels and select them. Meter Bridge. Allows you to monitor the levels of your channels. To select a meter type, open the Meter Bridge context menu, and select either ppm or wave. Equalizer Curves. Allows you to draw an EQ curve. Click in the curve display to open a larger view where you can edit the curve points. Channel Racks. Allows you to show additional channel controls, as needed. Pictures. Allows you to add a track picture to the selected channel. Pictures can help you identify your MixConsole channels quickly. Notepad. Allows you to enter notes and comments about a channel. Each channel has its own notepad. Channel Latency. Allows you to show the latencies caused by insert effects or channel strip modules. Control Room/Meter, right zone. Allows you to divide the studio environment into the performing area, studio, and the engineer/producer area, control room. Related links. MixConsole left zone. MixConsole toolbar. Project window toolbar. Fader section. Channel rack selector. Adding track pictures to MixConsole channels. Adding notes to a MixConsole channel. Channel latency overview. Control room. Master meter. Loudness meter. Channel strips. Determining the MixConsole channel order in the lower zone. MixConsole left zone. MixConsole left zone. The left zone of the MixConsole shows several tabs that allow you to change the visibility and the position of specific channels, to undo parameter changes, or to save MixConsole snapshots. To show/hide the left zone of the MixConsole, click Show/Hide Left Zone in the MixConsole window toolbar. The following tabs are available at the top of the left zone. Visibility. Lists all channels contained in your project and allows you to show/hide specific channels. History. Lists all MixConsole parameter changes and allows you to undo/redo specific changes. Snapshots. Lists all MixConsole snapshots that you saved and allows you to recall snapshots. The following tabs are available at the bottom of the left zone. Channel. Lists all channels contained in your project. Zones. Allows you to lock the position of specific channels. Related links. Undoing/redoing MixConsole parameter changes. MixConsole toolbar. MixConsole window. MixConsole visibility.